For more on this, we turn to John Sitilides tonight, geopolitical strategist at Trilogy Advisors. Does it qualify for Vegas odds? I mean, how do you read this?
Maybe 6-1 odds. We keep talking about a bilateral summit, but there really are six major powers involved here. And so besides the U.S. and North Korea, there's South Korea, Japan, but obviously China, and even Russia has a major stake in what's going to be playing out here. So 6-1 odds, and I'm not even a gambler.
And, of course, Sergei Lavrov is going to North Korea for a visit. That, of course, was announced after Trump had written this letter saying that we're not going to meet. So it's interesting you point out that you think that there are other influences, other superpowers that are basically saying, you know, you two guys got to get your act together. You think that's happening?
Well, I don't know if it's a matter of getting their act together, but everyone's got major stakes here. This is not just about the U.S. and North Korea. The Chinese have to make sure that whatever the outcome of these talks, if they take place, the U.S. does not have greater influence in the Korean Peninsula. The Russians have long-term trade interests in North Korea. The South Koreans maybe are distancing themselves from Trump's absolute reliance on a denuclearization strategy. And the country to watch most of all, I think, is Japan. Japan is very concerned that if the threat to Japan is not addressed forcefully in any summit, they may decide to pursue a different type of a nuclear defense strategy, and that's going to set off a whole different set of tensions and fireworks between China and Japan.
So business deals certainly smooth everybody's seas. There's no question about that. But now we get to the definition of what is total denuclearization of the peninsula.
Yeah, well, there are different objectives here, I'm afraid, and I don't really know where the South Koreans are right now. I think that's the big question. The administration seems to be all for an immediate beginning or immediate start to complete denuclearization. Some experts say it may take 5 to 15 years. I still don't see how Kim Jong-Un will let go of all of his nuclear weapons. It is his greatest insurance instrument against any possible policies from outside the peninsula against his regime. So it's just very, very up in the air from all perspectives.
So it's interesting that Trump looks like he has a big stick. When he says there's no summit, within 48 hours you have both Korean leaders meeting with one another, and Kim is saying, hey, we're ready to talk. What does that look like? I mean, it looks like North Korea has exhausted all their efforts of gamesmanship, and this is going to happen. And this is a big deal that they're sending their top intelligence officer or spy master to New York to meet with Pompeo. So with those signs, how could this not happen?
Well, first of all, there are so many different interests, as we just said, from the different players here in the Korean Peninsula game. But remember, Kim Jong-un may be on the verge of achieving what his father and grandfather were unable to achieve: peer status with the President of the United States. It's an enormous prize for Kim Jong-un. So the question is, how does he attain that summit and meet eye to eye with the President of the United States, be seen as his equal, by giving away as little as possible in terms of the nuclear weapons and his control over the regime?
And keep faith with his own people.
Well, yes, although that's not
I mean,
as
he
difficult.
was worried about being offed by going to this meeting that is supposed to take place. He's concerned about a regime change behind his back.
Potentially, but I think he's also very concerned about what the Chinese will say and do in terms of the North Korean military that keeps Kim Jong-un in power, and again, making sure the Americans never get close to the Yalu River and directly threaten Chinese interests in the Korean Peninsula.
Okay, John Sitilides, we'll see you on June 11th.
See you then.